Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. We have plenty of topics to cover this evening, including lightning safety awareness and Tropical Storm Arthur, just to name a few. Ryan Belz will be in with our feature story later on, and we'll have Brad Gay to join me in the studio with your Independence Day weekend forecast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Whether or Not starts right now. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining us this evening on Whether or Not. I'm your host, Jillian Bohenek.
And I'm your forecaster, Brad Gay.
Well, Brad, there's been a lot of talk about this Tropical Storm Arthur. Can you tell us whether it's going to affect weekend plans for this 4th of July weekend?
Yeah, that's right, Jill. Arthur just forming in the eastern Atlantic near Florida early on Tuesday morning. What does it mean for us here in Pennsylvania? Well, the answer, not much. We'll talk more about that in the forecast, though.
Well, that sounds like good news for sure. Now it's time to head on over to Nature in the News.
Well, California's drought is the worst it has ever been, and it's not looking good for food prices. Farmers are being forced to pay for costly irrigation in order for their crops to grow, which has resulted in a loss of profit and is also leading to the necessity of the price of goods increasing. Back in May, food prices rose by 0.5%. Now that's the most they have risen since August of 2011. Lettuce and avocados are among the products that will see the largest increases. The area of California hit hardest by drought is the Central Valley, which is the primary region for the state's farming. As of last week, 100% of California is experiencing drought.
This past May has already been recorded as the warmest on record, and according to NOAA, this year, 2014, it may be on a similar track. May's average global temperature was 59.93 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 1.33 degrees above the 20th century average and almost 1/10 of a degree above May of 2010. This May was only the 32nd warmest in history for the United States, but globally it was the warmest since the start of records back in 1880. Alaska experienced its 6th warmest May on record. NOAA agrees that the 2014 year could very well be the warmest year on record, and 2015 may not be far behind.
Last week, June 22nd through the 28th, was Lightning Safety Awareness Week. Now, lightning was the cause of 23 deaths in the United States last year, which was down from 28 in 2012, and the 30-year average of 53. These numbers can be even lower by following these simple tips. Of course, remember to pay attention to the weather forecast for the day. Keep an eye out for thunderstorms on that 7-day forecast. And if you must be outside during a storm, avoid activities such as swimming and playing in open fields. And if you are caught outside in a thunderstorm, find a safe indoor location. If a safe indoor location is not available, avoid open fields, hills and ridges, tall trees, water, and metal objects. And remember, when thunder roars, go indoors.
For the first time since 2009, June, the first month of hurricane season, brought 0 tropical cyclones. June has historically been a slow month for tropical activity, but for the past few years it has brought about an unusual streak of heightened activity. The speed of the start to the season doesn't say much about the rest of it, but forecasters are leaning towards a slower season overall. On Tuesday night, the Atlantic season's first storm was named, and Tropical Storm Arthur caused some tropical storm watches to be put into effect on the eastern coast of Florida. By Thursday, Arthur was expected to become a hurricane. Tropical storm warnings and hurricane watches were issued for parts of eastern North Carolina, and tropical storm watches were issued for parts of South Carolina. Brad will be in next with your Independence Day weekend forecast.
All right, well, thank you, Jill. We'll take a look now at your central Pennsylvania forecast as we take you through the holiday weekend. Here's a look at the map for Friday. Here's Arthur, a hurricane just off the mid-Atlantic coast. Of course, Arthur having moved through the Outer Banks over the past couple of days, and now is sitting off the coast. But notice our other weather player. We have this low up in northern New England and a cold front extending down through much of the eastern seaboard. Now what this cold front and low are going to do is essentially kick Arthur out to sea, so Arthur not going to be heading into New England, but instead Arthur will get wrapped up in the Canadian Maritimes, cause some problems there. But what does that mean for us here in Pennsylvania? Well, that means that this high pressure system is going to take control of our weather by the time we get to Independence Day. We'll have mostly sunny skies and a period of drier weather as we get a rush of cooler Canadian air to really freshen things up after that humid and sticky week that we had. By the time we get into Saturday, of course, you can see that high shifting just offshore, so the period of nice weather will continue. There's Arthur, now just a regular low-pressure system up in the Canadian Maritimes, dropping a lot of rain there. But here in Pennsylvania, sunny and mild and dry, the most important part. And that's going to continue to be the story into Sunday. By the time we get into Sunday, that high-pressure system shifts a little bit farther offshore, so our winds will shift to be more out of the south. So Sunday will be a little bit warmer and maybe a touch more humid, but still certainly a very comfortable day if you're going to be headed outside at all and enjoying that long weekend. In terms of the exact details of the Independence Day forecast, though, 78 degrees your high, much less humid. Once again, really perfect for patriotism. Any great outdoor events you might have planned, barbecues, or even heading out to the fireworks, Fourth Fest here in Center County, of course, a big event with a great fireworks show. Going to be great for it, afternoon tailgating. But by the time we get into the evening hours, it's going to be feeling a little bit chillier. We're going to see lows dropping down into the mid to lower 50s, so clear and cool. So if you're heading to that fireworks show, you might want to grab the sweatshirt or even grab the light jacket because it could be feeling a little bit chillier a little bit after sundown, and especially if you're going to be out later in the night after that. In terms of Saturday, though, things warm up quite nicely. Feeling pleasant with sunny skies, 78 degrees your high on Saturday, so a similar day to Friday, but again, beautiful weather, one of the nicer 4th of July weekends that we've had in recent years. Saturday night, once again, feeling crisp, 55 degrees going to be your low. So again, a good idea to grab that sweatshirt if you're going to be heading out. And then Sunday, again, the wind shifts out of the south a little bit more, so it will be a touch warmer, perhaps a touch more humid. But still, if you have anything planned, perfect day for it. Maybe go check out a hike in Rothrock State Forest. Certainly a lot of things that you can do on Saturday and Sunday before the humidity returns early in next week. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the extended forecast as we'll see things turn a little bit more unsettled next week. We'll be right back after this.
When severe weather strikes or an emergency is occurring at any one of Penn State's 20 campuses, the university will send out an alert. In the past, Penn State has utilized the Emergency Alert System, PSU Text. However, the university has been working to phase out PSU Text and replace it with a new emergency alert system called PSU Alert. While phasing in PSU Alert, Penn State continued to use PSU Text until June 30th. As of June 30th, the only way to receive Penn State emergency alerts is to sign up for PSU Alert. To sign up for PSU Alert is simple. All Penn State students, faculty, and staff members should have received an email similar to this, directing them to psualert.psu.edu. Let's take a look and see how simple the process actually is to make sure that you continue to receive Penn State emergency alerts to your phone, tablet, or computer. Once there, you'll need to select the Continue button and sign in using your Penn State Access ID and password. Once you have logged in, you are then able to change your alert settings. With PSU Alert, students, faculty, and staff are able to add up to 3 telephone numbers that will receive text alerts. In addition, there is the option to add a voice alert to these 3 telephone numbers that will receive the text alerts. Students, faculty, and staff have the ability to add up to 2 additional email addresses to have alerts sent to. Your Penn State email address is required and not counted as the additional 2 email addresses. Finally, students, faculty, and staff are able to add up to 3 telephone numbers that will receive voice-only alerts. On June 13th, PSU Alert had its first real test. There was lightning and severe storms in the University Park area, and both Beard and Mettler Field were evacuated. The emergency alert stated, "Lightning, severe storms, concerns near Beard Field, Mettler Field. Stadiums evacuated. Shelter in cars or nearby buildings." 40 minutes later, Penn State sent out another alert, notifying everyone, all clear. Evacuation ended at Beard Medler Field. Fans may re-enter ballparks. The Office of Emergency Management, who is in charge of sending out the emergency alerts, recommends receiving severe weather alerts directly, providing you with more time to take action because they receive severe weather alerts at the same time as the public. If you visit the Office of Emergency Management's website, they provide quick links to numerous different resources, including the Meteorology Department's own Campus Weather Service website. To be prepared for emergency events, the university has developed a Comprehensive Emergency Plan, or CEMP for short. This plan aims to reduce the vulnerability of people and facilities, prepare for prompt and effective response and recovery, respond to emergencies using all system plans and resources available, recover from emergencies by providing for rapid and orderly start to rehabilitation, and provide an emergency management system embodying all aspects of pre-emergency preparedness and mitigation, as well as post-emergency response and recovery. If you would like to receive Penn State emergency alerts via social media, be sure to like and follow PSU Alert. PSU Alert has multiple social media outlets depending on your choice of campus. Make sure to sign up for PSU Alert. That way, when severe weather strikes or an emergency occurs, you are prepared. For Whether or Not, I'm Ryan Belz.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan, for that report. And we are back now with a look at the extended forecast, going to take you beyond the 4th of July weekend and into next week. But first, a look back at that Independence Day forecast, and really a very nice one, much less humid than it was in the past week. Perfect to get out there and enjoy any sort of outdoor activities, and that is going to be the case through the remainder of the weekend. Temperatures mainly around 80 degrees, warming up a little bit by the time we get into Sunday. Otherwise, crisp nights, lows in the lower 50s for the most part. In terms of the extended forecast, we'll take a look at the 500 millibar pattern. We get into a little bit of a trough in the next few days. You can see this disturbance in the upper levels of the atmosphere approaching us. But we will see flow out of the south and southwest, so that will lead to some warming trend as the week goes on. But notice by the time we get into Thursday and Friday, this little bit of a dip begins to get a little bit closer, and that will likely usher in cooler and drier air once again by the time we head into next weekend. How does it shape up, though? Let's take a look at the graph for you, and we'll see that that warming trend begins on Monday and continues through Wednesday, likely becoming a little bit uncomfortable by the time we get into Wednesday. That humidity that we were seeing earlier in this week returns, so becoming uncomfortable, temperatures increasing into the upper 80s in some parts of the Commonwealth. We'll also see the threat of afternoon storms in the middle of the week. But I think by the time we get into the end of the week, we will see another front or disturbance swing through, and that should help to cool things down a little bit by the time we get into Friday, but that won't be before a period of more active weather. Jill?
Well, thanks for the forecast, Brad. It looks like people are going to be able to get the most out of their 4th of July weekend. Earlier in the show, we did ask you our Weather Whiz quiz question, and that was, which state has the highest average number of thunderstorm days per year? Was it A, Oklahoma, B, Louisiana, C, Florida, or D, Texas? If you answered C, Florida, you were correct. The state of Florida sees an average of 60 to 100 thunderstorm days per year.
And now that's mainly due to warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean. Now, if we compare that to Pennsylvania, we only see 20 to 40 thunderstorm days each year.
And that's a pretty big gap from 20 to 40 to 60 to 100.
But you know what, Jill? The good news is none of those natural fireworks in the 4th of July weekend forecast. It's looking pretty good.
Well, that sounds pretty great. Well, that's about all we have for this week's episode of Whether or Not. Be sure to tune in next week. Once again, I'm your host, Jillian Bohenek.
And I'm your forecaster, Brad Guay.
Have a great 4th of July weekend.